Thank you. So this will be a short talk, but I'll take as many questions as you like. So it could be long, I guess. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the ICPC standardizations that we are working on. There are a few different standards. They have been around for, depending on how you count, 25 years or less. And if I may say so, it's been very successful, and I think it's been very useful. So, but I think a lot of people are not really aware of what we do and why, and I don't know, all that stuff. So there are 4 different standards that we are working with, and I'm using the word standard a little bit loosely here in the ICPC standards groups. So I'm going to quickly describe what they are. So we have what we call the CCS system requirements. And this is a set of requirements on a contest control system to be used at the World Finals. It is not meant to imply that you have to do things this way. It is just meant to imply that this is how we do it at the finals. But probably a lot of the things that we do at the finals are good ideas. That's why we do them at the finals. So I think it's worthwhile to look at. I think it's a good document. We have been discussing generalizing this spec and make some kind of CCS system specification for ICPC and not just for the World Finals. But to be honest, this is the standard that has gotten the least love in the last 5 to 10 years. There hasn't been much progress here. We'll come to that later, but if you're interested, this might be a place where, input could be useful. So right now, this is a specification for the World Finals, which allows it to be more opinionated than if we were trying to claim this is what everybody should do. Then we have the contest API spec, and that's really the, I think, most important spec standard. This is the interface that drives almost all of the tools that we use. This is what allows us to do shadowing that John talked about. What day is it today? Wednesday. So the thing that John talked about some other day in the past. This is what allows us to do the presentation tooling. This is what allows us to do the resolver. There's a lot of tools that use the contest API, and it's actually been shockingly successful. It's so often we needed to do a new thing. Sorry, I've been talking too much today. And we are thinking like the API should support it, and it just works. It's actually amazing how well it has worked through the years. I think this is a really, really good standard and specification. Of course, I'm incredibly biased. A lot of new people that look into it, they immediately find some super dumb thing that we did. And then I typically say something like, yeah, well, in 2013, we did this decision, and therefore, so, historical reasons. But this is the contest API spec. It is the core specification. If you're at all interested in building tooling within the ICPC for running contests and connecting things together, this is where you should start looking. And you should look at this. And also, maybe I should pretend that we put the stupid things there on purpose to make you help us. That's a lie, but let's say it's true. All right. Then the third standard is the contest package format. And this kind of really just is the contest API on disk. But this is how we exchange data between systems. This is how we will be storing contest packages to store history of contests from ICPC in the future, to get scoreboards and whatnot, and event feeds and all the stuff. All of this is defined in the contest API. So it's not that interesting, but that is also one thing. all of the first three standards have typically followed a joint version schema. Can you say that? Just meaning that we renew them all three at the same time. Maybe we shouldn't do that, but that's how we've been doing it. The current version of those three is 2023-06. And I think we will release the next standard definitely this year, probably within a month or two. So it's due for a new one. The changes now between versions are kind of tiny because we're in a good place. But that's where we are. And then we have the fourth standard. It's the problem package format. The problem package format only kind of has two versions, the old and the new. The old version started in 22 or something, so it's 20 plus years old. But back then we didn't have any versioning. So for the first 10 years or so, it slowly developed in an undefined way. But you know, we got more proper with time. And the next, the new, the soon-to-be current version is 2025-09, which if you look at your clock is today. No, it's this month, right? So we are releasing the next version now. So there's a release candidate out. There's some more changes coming, but it's basically there. The problem package format, I think, is also really good. I think it's a very, if you're not, a lot of you I recognize and I know you use it. If you don't, take a look at it. It's a very good way to guarantee quality, among other things. It has a lot of built-in functionality. Last year I did a presentation on the problem package format. I'm not going to do that today. But if you want to hear more about it, just grab me, and I'll talk your ear off on that for sure. Also, there will be some more details about it in the presentations coming up, I think. So those are the standards that we work on, and if you find this interesting, maybe you want to join us and help out. I mean, hey, designing things by committee. What could sound more fun, right? So it actually is kind of fun. So the working groups that are working on these standards, it's not always perfectly well defined. We don't have official membership, but for the CCS, Contest API, and CPF working groups, it is these people who mainly do the work. We do not have any formal rules. We mostly work on consensus, meaning that we discuss things until we all agree, or everybody gives up except one, I guess, and then we do that. And I don't know if you recognize many of the names. As you can see, these are people from many of the main tools and the main judging systems that we use in ICPC. So it's basically those of us who use the API a lot are the ones who are designing it, which makes sense. So, yeah, so that's that group. And then we have the problem package format working group, and that has been actually fairly intensive work in the past almost 3 years. We started a big push towards making a new version in 2023, early 2023. We had a workshop in Lund and then another workshop in Stockholm, one per year. And then in between, we have had a lot of online meetings and online discussions. And this is a fairly complete list of currently active people. Did I forget somebody? I at least didn't forget somebody that's here. Whoops. Okay, well, it is a dynamic group whose membership changes over time. And if you're interested, you're very welcome to join us. We always want more voices. Again, we don't have much formal rules. We tend to, this is a larger group, so we might not always get to consensus. So we tend to get to consensus-ish, and then we do that. And as ICPC standard chair, I sometimes pull the dictator card, but I try to not misuse it too much. I hope. You can ask these other guys if they think I do. Yeah, that's really it. So if you want to know more, or if you want to get involved, then you should want to get involved because it's fun. Come and talk to me anytime. And also, if you have any questions about any of this right now, I think we have plenty of time. So ask questions. Yes, Felix. No, sorry.
Check. Yeah, thanks for the presentation. And yeah, I think like the contest API and the problem package format has been great for ICPCs, including for regionals. Basically, whatever contest using ICPC rules. So credits for that. You know there is a but to this question, but ICPC format is not the only programming contest format in the world. Like we know, like focusing on problem package format, there is like a problem with subtasks on other contests, or like a problem where like you have to just implement functions, like a greater functions format, like in the IOI. And in the contest API, there are contests with like partial scorings. There are contests with like different rules of like scoring, like with different penalty rules and so on. So I guess my question is like, these standards do not cover that, and like, as long as there's no one standard that cover all use cases, we know the old XKCD meme where there are like 15 different competing standards and so on, and that's not ideal. And that's, I guess, part of that is why we have seen many online judges in this world, yeah, and many not just online judges, but also like many standards in the world in terms of like problem package format as well. There is a IOI problem package format, other contest problem package format as well, right? So my main question is about like, is like ICPC is probably like, because you have so many people and so on with the foundations and so on, it's probably the best organization to try to come up with these standards that cover all of these use cases and try to like kill all of the other standards and becomes one instead of 15 different competing standards. Is ICPC going to do it? So, or like, is there an effort trying to do it?
No, that's a great question, and also thanks for saying a lot of nice things. We appreciate that. Let's see, there were several parts in this. So first, do note that many parts of these standards do support many other types of contests. For example, the challenge we just ran was using the contest API and the package format. No, I lied. It could have done that. But it did use the contest API, right? And the problem package format support scoring contests. And so we do support a lot more than what ICPC finals uses, partly because some other ICPC contests do use a little bit more, and partly because some of us are also in the IOI community and we do work. So actually these standards already support quite a bit more. Now, with the question about are we planning to take over the world? Our focus with these standards, I would say, this is not something we have discussed, so this is my take, is that we very much did not try to do that. We tried to solve the problems that we have. We wanted to create useful specs for the things we are doing and then extend from there. So initially the contest API did not support scoring, and it still doesn't support it perfectly. Initially the problem package format did not support multi-pass problems. You know, well, 20 years ago it didn't support interactive problems. So we started with what we needed and we expanded. So we didn't at all try to take over the world, and that's why we might actually do it, because I think that's a much better way to build standards. But that's not the goal. The goal is to create useful specification that allows us to build good tools that work together really well. And that's the thing that has worked well. That's the thing that has worked well. The tools that are built, the ICPC tools that are using these API and other tools, have been used in many different settings. And I mean, again, the fact that we actually, what we did with the challenge today was actually kind of crazy. I don't know if I want to say all the stuff we did, because it was kind of crazy. But and it was a lot of duct tape and standards, right? A lot of duct tape and standards. And I think some people would say that's sloppy programming. I say it's great design of standards, because it worked really well, and it's really extensible, and it's really robust. So no, we're not trying to take over the world, but we might do it accidentally, and that's fine. All right, next question.
Yeah, so I have maybe a couple of potential pointy questions, so probably I can do it after offline, but like, so I think, I'm not too sure right now if the interactive problems is supported by the problem package, interactive, instead of the standard one.
Yes, it is.
It is, okay. So in that sense, like any of the regions in North America, if they are using this standard package, then we can actually use or start doing interactive problems, right? So that was a question.
Interactive problems have been supported for 18 years, 20.
Because there was a little bit of confusion amongst the chief judges in North America, where they say, yeah, it may or may not be supported in CADIS, etc. But the consensus should be then is absolutely yes, it's supported, correct?
CADIS has supported it 20 years. DOMIAD has supported 20-ish years. 15? Okay, 5 years. Okay.
All right, sure, sounds good. So that clarifies. But
and PC Squared also supports it. So all of the big three in North America support it.
Yeah, maybe to fill a time, like a more nuanced question here is, like, let's say converter. Like, have you considered, like, you know, for example, there's a very standard C++ to Java converter in this variety to make sure that we can make it easy for, you know, languages to be adopted, right? So I'm not too sure if your goal is to make it like, you know, hard to use. I don't think that's a goal, probably not a goal, right? So if your goal is to make it easy to use, then if you really want to take over the world, which I think is really what you're trying to do, then wouldn't it make sense for you to actually create the converter so they can go from this standard package and then, you know, like any other package they have as known, as long as they have some kind of interface, you can convert it to the standard one and then call it a day. Because then you actually have dominated, right?
Right. I mean, converters is a good thing to do when you have standards. And again, so as you noticed, the challenge ran on Codeforces. Codeforces doesn't actually currently support the Contest API. They should. Where are you, Mike? but they currently don't.
Probably
but they have a well-defined API, right? They have a good API. They're just not our API, meaning that Pavel, who is on the working group, has written years ago a converter from that to the Contest API, because that's also a very stable format. So that just worked really well, right? So yes, that's true. And it sounded like you were talking mainly about the problem package format. And yes, again, converters is a good thing. A problem, and there's no way to say this without sounding a little bit arrogant, I think it's hard to convert from most other package format I've seen to ours, because ours is better. So it does more. So you don't have the thing that we have. Again, that sounded really arrogant, because it is, but no, we're not against it. It's a good idea. Of course, we should have converters when it makes sense. It's sometimes hard to build that kind of data, because a package format is like it's for storing for. Okay, never. Let's not get into it. But yeah, no, we're not against it. It's a good idea.
Okay.
Again, we are not trying to take over the world.
Right. Okay, cool. But I mean, then my final question, which is actually from this one, but I don't obviously want to hog up the mic. So last question, sorry. But like, as I tried to use the CADIS, or let's say, excuse me, like a problem package format, I've noticed that a lot of these things can actually be automated with the emergence of LLMs in this variety, right? So I even use that all the time to like rectify one format to another, or fix things so that it actually checks with verified problems in this variety. So do you have that as sort of like a future action plan, as in trying to make it easier to adopt by infusing some sort of LLM into the system?
So when you build standardization, I mean, many of the people in our group are the people building the tools. So in a sense, we build tools, but we, the standards group, aren't building tools. To me, it's a success of the standards when good tools are built on this. So personally, I think that the best tool for writing problems is BAPSI tools, which is a tool I have zero work on. Like I have nothing to do with it. It's just an awesome tool that somebody else wrote. And it's truly great. But if I am to take a little bit of credit, is that I think good tools are built on top of good standards, right? So I think we can take a little bit of the credit from the good. Like there's so many good tools on top of what we have built, and that's a good sign. Not because we did all of that, but because it was done, if that makes sense. But there are other tools. If you don't, there's test data tools. There's I blank now, but there are more. Okay, I just prefer BAPSI tools. That's the best one. Any more questions? Excellent. Then I will just again say, if you want to know more, I am me, ask me. Thank you.